Hi everyone, welcome back to the Casual Watch Review channel. So today I thought I would do another top 5. I did one last week which was my top 5 watch collecting regrets, so definitely check that out if you're interested. So in honour of today, I'm wearing my Omega Speedmaster. Now this video is a re-upload, and for people that saw that first one, you know why I'm re-uploading it, and I'll leave it at that. So I've got here my top 5 likes and dislikes of the Omega Speedmaster. So first one I had of a like was the history. You can't fault this watch for the history. The early history of it being a racing watch, then it going through to being the moon watch, or the test that NASA did on it. The first watch worn on the moon by Buzz Aldrin, its use on the Apollo 13 mission, countless space travel to the International Space Station. You can't fault it for the history. There's not many watches that you can buy today that are similar, that have at this price range, that have as much history as the Omega Speedmaster has. So that was definitely a big plus to me when I was buying it. Next on the list I had was size. So I just really like the size of this watch. I know I've got it on a NATO now and it's kind of sitting a bit proud, but I think the size of it is just right, certainly for my wrist, and mine's like a 7.5-inch wrist. It looks brilliant on most straps, whether it be a NATO, whether it be the metal bracelet that they come with, or a leather bracelet. It just really looks great on most straps on there. So I had size was my number 2 there. The third one was movement and reliability. So I've never serviced this watch. It's from the 90s, this particular model, and as far as I know, the original owner never serviced it either. I'm like the second owner for this. And I used to wear this every single day. It took a beating. It was my daily wear. I also dropped it once. The bracelet failed and I dropped it on a tiled surface. Hence the reason I'm wearing it on a NATO now. And I'll talk a bit more about that later on. So the movement and reliability, it's probably my most accurate watch actually that I own, mechanical one. Number 4 is the dial and the hands. I just love the dial on this watch. You've got those striking white hands, the black and white dial. There's no messing about that this is an instrument for measuring time. It just looks fantastic. So number 5 on the list I had was the feel of the watch. I personally really like the feel of this watch, the weight of it, the way these lugs sort of curve in, the slightly shrouded pushers on here, the winding mechanism as you're winding it. The overall feel of it, the size and everything, I just really, really like the watch, whether it's in the hand or on the wrist. I just love the way that the watch feels. So there's my top 5 likes. So let's get round to my 5 dislikes. So I struggled with these a bit, but anyway, we're doing a top 5, so let's get started. First dislike was the fact that there's no date. Now, I know there's loads of watches that don't have a date, diving watches like Submariner, for example. But I do look at the date a lot. In fact, I probably look at the date on a watch more than I look at the time sometimes, because I do use the date a lot for work. So I had that as a dislike. The second one I had was the cost to service the watch. I've never had it serviced, but I think the going rate now is like $700, $750 to have the watch serviced. Now that would equate to like half the purchase price of this watch. So I've never had it serviced by Omega because I've never been, the price has never encouraged me to. Now I know that it's a luxury watch, like if you had a luxury car, they're going to use Omega parts. If anything goes wrong, you can go back to Omega. But for me at the moment, it doesn't encourage me to have it done. Now if something was going wrong with the watch, $750 would probably seem like a bargain, I imagine. But anyway, I had it as my number 2 dislike. Number 3, and this is another one for people who own this watch. So mine, it has Hesalite on the front, and for people that are not familiar with it, Hesalite is like an acrylic. The reason they had it on there, I know, was because they were in space, zero gravity. They didn't want shards of sapphire or glass floating around in zero gravity. And the Hesalite has actually saved this watch. When I dropped it, it was the Hesalite that cracked, but no other. The dial wasn't damaged or anything like that. But it does scratch very easy, even if you're trying not to scratch it. Now, I have a good friend who he had this model, and he scratched it on a wall completely by accident. His wrist just went on the wall, and he had it replaced, and he said that actually that kind of put him off wearing it at daily wear, which is not cool really for such a brilliant watch like the Speedmaster. So that was one of my dislikes. Number 4, some of these are similar, and this one's probably cheating because it's to do with the Hesalite as well. But on my one, I have Hesalite on the front and crystal on the back, which seems a bit of a weird combination because, you know, if you can't go into space because it's got crystal, then why have Hesalite on the front? Number 5 on the list I had as part Scarcity. So when I broke the Hesalite on this watch, I took it into my local jeweller, got on really well with him. In fact, he made my wife's wedding ring, and he ordered the parts. He had all his Omega certification and replaced the crystal. Then a couple of months later, I noticed there was a screw loose inside it. Now, this could have been from when I dropped the watch, or when there was the repair or something, but there was a screw that came loose inside. Now, I went back to him and he was extremely reluctant to do it. He said that he wasn't able to easily get the parts anymore. He'd actually took all his Omega certificates down from the wall, so that gave me certainly the impression that the parts were getting scarce and that I'd have to go back to Omega if I wanted to have any work done. I subsequently did take this to a jeweller when I moved to the US, and he actually did take it apart and put the screw back. But he said a similar thing, so that was just my experience of one jeweller. It might be that other jewellers can get the parts, it's just that him in particular didn't, but that certainly gave me the impression that the parts were scarce. Okay, so that was my 5 dislikes there. As you see, a lot of them kind of crossed over. I struggled with that, but you know, I love this watch, as you've seen in some of my other videos, so no complaints. As always, guys, really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all next time on the Casual Watch Review channel. Thanks.